Good morning. Happy New Year. It is 2022 and there are some big changes coming that I'd like to talk to you about, but first we've got to do our chores. I woke up this morning and it was 12 degrees outside, according to the weather service. If you ask the thermometer on the breezeway, it was really 8. We're gonna go feed some very hungry poultry. Everett and I have kind of a routine. In the morning, I get up, I feed the indoor animals, I feed our furnace, and then he goes outside to let the dog out, and he lets the poultry out so they can jumpstart their day. And then after my indoor chores are done, I come out and feed everybody. It's a pretty good system. And now the chickens need our attention. They've gotten a lot bigger since you saw them last. I mean, look at Frittata. He's getting some beautiful tail plumage. And there's Omelet. The mystery of what our boys are has been solved. It turns out that Omelet is a silver speckled Hamburg, and Frittata is, as we suspected, a Welsummer. Hey guys. Hey, back in here. Come on. Let's go. You know what time it is. Excuse me, ladies. At this point, we have about 25 hens. Our sapphire rocks that we got when the Quiche sisters, and the broilers that we rescued from culling day are getting to the point where they should be laying pretty soon, but because of the weather, the lighting, the amount of sun per day, our egg production is really low. We're getting about 1 to 2 a day, if we're lucky. So I'm hoping with the lengthening of days, we're going to see an explosion of production. I'm going to get everyone some water. Now back to the house for a brief chat about upcoming adventures. When Everett and I conceived this plan back in 2019, it kind of evolved. Originally, we had just talked about moving to a larger property than what we were living on. And that turned into, we would really like to have some substantial amount of acreage, substantial for us. We wanted to have a hobby farm and a homestead. That homestead remains our #1 goal as far as for us as a family. We want to create or to grow our own food, as much of our own food as we possibly can, so that we know how it was raised and what inputs went into it. But like all goals, they continue to evolve. And that brings me to part number 2 of what the intention of buying this property was. And that was to create a sustainable farm business that we could use to support our growing homestead. And I kind of, that's the big crux of what this video is about today, because that's the biggest change that's coming. We're gonna get some more chickens for our homestead. We're gonna raise more broilers. We're going to raise more ducks. We're actually expanding our duck growing endeavor. We are probably going to end up, actually we are not probably going to end up, our goal is to buy ourselves another group of, they're called silver appleyards. They're a heritage breed of duck. They're supposed to be incredibly tasty ducks, and that's kind of always been our intention, was to raise ducks for eggs and meat, much like we raise chickens for eggs and meat. So we're hoping to raise some purebred Appleyards, and then some Appleyard Duclair crosses, and then some Duclair, just some straight Duclairs. Because I think that Appleyard Duclair crosses sound like they might be delicious. We're expanding our orchard. On the homestead side of things, we're going to add some more trees, and we're going to add some additional poultry to our orchard. We're going to buy some geese that we will use to maintain the orchard, because that gives effort less to mow, which is always a good thing. This from a homesteading standpoint, this year we've already built the foundation for what we're doing. We have a lot of our infrastructure in place. As far as the farm business goes, that's a whole other ball of wax. One of the things that I've noticed from my years of research, i.e. watching YouTube, reading articles, talking to other farmers, is that you need to be diversified, but not so diversified that you're running yourself ragged with things that have no connection to one another. So the big thrust of our business is going to be farm-grown, direct-to-customer sales of fresh flowers, fresh farm-grown flowers. That is going to be the main thrust, if you will, the trunk of our business. A lot of the other things that we're going to do branch off of that. So, what changes are coming to the farm? I'm going to start a small market garden specifically for flower production. I'm starting with 3 blocks. Well, technically I'm starting with 2 blocks. I'm going to expand it to a 3rd block of 50-foot rows, 4 rows in each block. The reason being is I want to get my systems down before I expand. I want to make sure that I can manage a small bite before I take a bigger one. So that's endeavor number 1. Number 2 is kind of addressing an issue that I thought of, which is we have a shorter growing season here. I will be able to produce flowers from probably early May to October, end of October with some season extension. I needed to have another product that I could sell in the winter months, and something that wasn't perishable that I could use to drive web sales. So that's where I came up with the idea of taking the flowers that I grew, a lot of the herbs and whatnot, and creating a botanical soap line, soaps and lotions, shaving soaps, face creams, that type of thing. I wanted to make sure that my soaps were manufactured with as many of the raw materials being produced here on the farm. Yes. Which means in 2022, I'm going to be expanding into beekeeping, and we are on the waiting list right now to get a small herd of dairy goats. Yes, the greatest of all time farm animal is coming to our little property. We're very excited. We're getting Nigerian dwarf goats. I thought that was a good entry-level goat from the research I've done. The bees probably will come in the spring. I will have time to get my feet wet. As far as being an apiist, that's the right noun. And our goats probably won't get here until June or July, which will give us time to build out their infrastructure. One component of our business came out of necessity for us. If you've watched my videos for a while, you'll remember when I got my broilers in the mail, I had a lot of dead on arrival chicks, and I had some dead on arrival ducks too, which was really disheartening. And I feel like there may be a need for locally grown broilers, broiler chicks. I know that I would love to be able to go to a hatchery, but a local farm and buy my broilers and raise, for a reasonable price and not have to worry about them coming through the mail. So one aspect of our business, we are bringing on the farm a substantial number of Delaware broilers. They were the original white chicken broiler that was popular before the Cornish cross became the standard for meat production, and we needed something that had some of the qualities of a more standard broiler with that bred true, that we could get multiple generations out and still have a Delaware chicken or a broiler. So not necessarily particularly a Delaware, but that's what we went with. We opted to go with them versus that we had a couple other candidates, but that was the winner chicken dinner. So that we are setting the foundation in 2022 for my chicken breeding program that will allow us to grow sustainable poultry on the farm. That being said, they are not going to be completely useless in 2022. My goals with the broilers, they're straight run, and so we're going to have to buy several batches of them. I like doing my chickens in small batches of like 25 to 30, mostly because I take my chickens to the processor in my tiny little Honda, and that's about how many chickens will fit in a Honda. You can't get a used car right now. It's impossible. Unless you want to, mortgage your farm to do it. So, I'm going to buy multiple batches of broilers. We're going to keep the hens, especially the hens. If there is a hen that doesn't quite meet standard, it'll get called. But we're going to keep most of the hens. We're going to pick our 5 best roosters, and everyone else is going to go to the processor and into freezer camp. So we'll get meat out of that first initial run of Delaware. We're also going to get eggs out of that initial run of Delaware. It will take a while. We probably will not see eggs until the fall. That's okay. We'll bake that cake when we get there. The other thing that my Delaware will do for me this year is we're going to set them up in the area where we set up our chickens last year. That's where my farm is, the flower farm is going. And the purpose of the Delaware will be to go through and till up the next series of garden blocks that we will expand to in the coming years. I will have them till them up. We will put a layer of, I will have them spread around some compost. I have a neighbor who has generously offered his cow manure. He has aged cow manure he's gonna give me, which is awesome. I'm gonna have the chickens spread that around the block, the garden block, and then we'll plant cover crops. We'll plant a series of cover crops that will help build up organic mass, will help aerate the soil. There's different cover crops with different purposes, and we'll do a series of those. And one of the primary ones I'm going to grow is buckwheat, and that will provide forage for the bees. So the idea is to create a a farm business that is a sustainable organism. I look at it as like a little food web. And the idea is things will just kind of, hopefully, everything will serve a purpose and everything will work together in a synchronistic way. I'll use my corporate buzzword. But I'm really looking forward to the coming year and what it brings. I'm really looking forward to goats. Until next time, you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.